I believe quite strongly in law and order. We are a nation of laws, and it would be wrong for me or any lawyer to say it's okay for one person to take the law into her own hands. So I won't argue that. Even if children were dying in front of her, as was the case with my client, even if she had to witness teenage drug addiction, gunfire, sometimes the killing of innocent people, such as her own 2-year-old daughter. As I said, it would be wrong for me, as an officer of the court, to argue that she be allowed to take the law into her own hands. So I won't argue that. I won't argue self-defense or defense of others. But you all heard what was in her mind. It is within the power of this jury to vote your conscience. And I would implore you to dig into your conscience today.
Mr. Berluti.
Martin Luther King Jr. said, when confronted with an unjust law, the moral and ethical thing to do is to break that law. He said that. It would be wrong for me to say it.
Counsel.
My client had no right to take the law into her own hands. Of course not. It is totally irrelevant that the police weren't protecting her neighborhood. Also irrelevant that the conviction rate for drug arrests in Boston is below 10%. Below 10%. Put that out of your minds. Drug use is going up, while drug arrests are going down. It's out of control. But it has no relevance here. What are we as parents supposed to do? That's a rhetorical question, of course. It's not an issue for today.
Mr. Berluti.
As a matter of law, Aisha Crenshaw should have waited for the police to respond, even though they weren't responding. She should have let the children become drug addicts or drug dealers. She should have let them continue to die. She should have done nothing and let all this happen because, after all, we are a nation of laws.
The law Mr. Berluti suggests you defy is the one against murder. And what he's asking you to embrace is terrorism. The defendant decided someone was not worthy of life, and so she acted to execute him. And a lawyer now stands before you mocking our allegiance to law and order. There are many countries in the world who tolerate street justice. You don't like somebody, you just shoot them. There are places where this happens. But this is America. We don't permit vigilantism. We don't tolerate murder when the killer sees fit, no matter what his or her conscience. And we certainly don't embrace terrorism. My heart goes out to Miss Crenshaw for the loss of her child. Could the police do a better job? Perhaps. If they had the resources, I'm sure they would. But what's the answer? For citizens to pull out guns and shoot the bad guys? Is that the country we want to live in? Is it? I too believe our jury should reflect the conscience of America. That is not in my conscience. And I pray to God for all our children. It's not in yours.
You think you're clever, counsel. You think that closing was clever.
Hey, Judge, if you think I crossed the line, call a mistrial. In fact, you might have a duty to...
You'd like that, wouldn't you? Get a new trial. Is that what's going on? You want a mistrial?
I'm just interested in us all doing the right thing.
Now, you listen to me.
Hey, you told me what I couldn't argue. I stood up there and expressly didn't argue it. You got any problem with me now, then it must be personal.
I take my courtroom very personal, and
If I cross the line, call a mistrial.
All right.
Jury's back.
Mr. Foreman, am I to understand you have reached a unanimous verdict in 20 minutes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What say you?
On the matter of the Commonwealth versus Aisha Crenshaw, on the charge of murder in the first degree, we find the defendant, Aisha Crenshaw, not guilty.
Not guilty? As in straight not guilty?
Obviously, there's no accounting for it. This jury simply made a decision to let a guilty person go free. Clearly, Mr. Berlutti's endorsement of civil disobedience registered. Not my version of justice, Paul. I'm being informed Miss Crenshaw is about to make a statement.
Am I surprised? Yes. But I'm also heartened. The jury sent a message not just to me or the police, but to all of us. We need to take back our streets. The Second Amendment gives us the right to bear arms to defend our homes, our streets. It's time that the good people start exercising that right to defend our children. We, the people, need to rise up. We need to put these dealers down before they take any more of our children. And it's not just in Boston. All over you hear about tax cuts. Well, it's service cuts. And it's the poor neighborhoods suffering these service cuts across this country. We need to rise up and do a job.
Mr. Young, Mr. Berlutti, give a comment about what you just said. Are you saying you would shoot?